Hello, this is, well, it's kind of like a part 2 to my previous video, and it's mostly explaining the importance of past and current encampments and occupations of buildings and stuff. My first and foremost is, well, I kind of forgot the name there, but Freen Barnett Library, because it highlights exactly what we need. Because obviously we need a library. It's pretty stupid just learning everything off your phone when a library has what's better. It has better contents. You don't exactly want to read a book on a computer. You prefer it on a phone or a book, obviously. Yeah. Just been explaining nearly a minute on a book is good. Okay, so 8,000 books got delivered there, well, donated there. And how it started originally was in 2010, before the Occupy encampment stuff, it was going to get shut down. And none of the neighbours would support that, because they liked that library. It was a very popular library. But because of what was happening with the government cuts and everything, they had to in the end. There was a demonstration about it, petitions being signed, none of that worked. But when the Occupy Wall Street movement came around, later on they just thought, since we're not really highlighting any protests or issues, we might as well bring something to the public to kind of win their support. That's my belief about this anyway. So, them and some community members who helped them and thought it was a great idea joined in and created the encampment. And they don't have any tents there. They have I think it's like 10 people sleeping there. It's got plenty of rooms, so they'll all sleep in probably like only a few rooms, because they need their rooms for storing books and stuff. But so far they've hosted all sorts of obviously political debates and political issues that they want to raise, because it's still an Occupy encampment, an occupation, because obviously if there are protests they're going to highlight that kind of stuff. But they've also held children, stuff to do with children. They've had reading sessions. It's basically like a community centre, apart from they'll allow anything there. They won't just say, no, we don't support this idea, it's not a part of our group. Because I've heard of them before, hosting stuff that does not share views from Occupy. Some of them are anti-Occupy, but yet they'll just show them nonetheless, because it's just like, this is a community library. We have a presence here, but it doesn't mean that should disturb your library. They're going to get shut down soon, though, apparently, according to the Freen Barnett Council. That's one occupation that I'm talking about. Most of these are actually in London, amazingly enough. And London I haven't found to be very good, since they kind of ruined what happened at St. Paul's. I'll talk about that later. Okay. There was also the School of Ideas, which was yet another Occupy London idea. It only lasted for 10 days though, because they bulldozed the school. They just basically evicted them and said, we don't like the school anymore. But it was basically teaching them, obviously, stuff about politics. But it was also kind of like a day centre for children. So that's my second one. My third is the Bank of Ideas, which was the original of Ideas series. And the Bank of Ideas is, well, it's kind of like what Freen Barnett is today, apart from it's a bit more political. but they have had all sorts there. They've had people from Radiohead going over and bringing in some tunes. They hosted up, this is how many they counted, over 400 events. And you got to think, 400 events, and they were only in there for 3 to 4 months, maybe 3 to 5. So that is a pretty long time. You know, like, what, a pretty short time, I mean, actually, to have all those events. So that's something they've done that's very good. What other occupations are there? There's Occupy Eugene and Occupy Madison. Now, Occupy Madison, I'm doing these both because they're very short ones. Occupy Madison it's basically got a homeless camp, and it's been going all around Madison. I think they've done it at least 4 times, or 3, maybe even more actually. But they've just kept on moving around, and it's basically a portable homeless shelter. So they'll provide tents for people who are homeless. I think they've got up to 10 tents that go around, and they just keep on moving. And then Occupy Eugene, which is, because over in America there's no, free, how do I explain it? There's no free medical care. Sorry, I get at a loss for words sometimes. So it's basically a free medical station thing. There's one that's a big tent, like a big military tent. And then there's another that's a portable, I think it's like a van or something that they do it in. But they also provide haircuts, which is a very good thing, because it's better to think about the public's needs. Now I'm gonna see. Now the final occupations that I think were good were, I forgot about this actually. Sorry, I just paused it because I couldn't really think of any, because I've explained quite a few already. And obviously I don't know every single encampment, every single thing they've done, so I can't really go down a big list of them all. There's obviously the Occupy Homes, which has been very useful. There's the Occupy Sandy Distribution or Relief Centres. One of them's actually going to get evicted in Staten Island, which I don't understand, since they're a relief centre and the police is helping them. Why would they evict them? Because there's still relief needed there. But the relief centres, I'll come on to Occupy Sandy in a later video, but I think that's a brilliant idea. What else is there? There's also, well, actually just the Occupy camps in general. They would always help the homeless. And they would also provide free medical care, free food, free shelter as well. It was also actually at St. Paul's, although I'm not supporting a lot of what St. Paul's did. What happened at St. Paul's was brilliant, because it stopped a person who was going to commit suicide. So, good on him. Okay, so subscribe, like, comment on this video, tell me any more, obviously, encampments or occupations that were good. I always like to know your opinion, obviously. Goodbye.